This is our top 5 gainers and top 5 losers analysis for March 25, 2019, Monday. My name is JC De Guzman, and these are the top 5 gainers that I'll be talking about today. We have FEN, ZHI, LR, SOC, and LRW. For the top 5 losers, I'll be talking about SM, JGS, LTG, PHA, and FGEN. Okay, so those are the 10 stocks. I have already checked if any of these 10 stocks have any dividend announcements, but none of them have. So anyway, I'll just give you some pieces of advice when it comes to doing some dividend plays. If you're going to buy shares of any dividend issuing company before the ex-dividend date, and if you would keep those shares at least until the ex-dividend date, then those shares will receive dividends. However, if you're going to buy either on or after the ex-dividend date, those shares are not qualified for the dividends. Now let's go to the selling side. If you're going to sell shares of any dividend issuing company before the ex-dividend date, then you will not receive dividends. On the other hand, if you're going to sell either on or after the ex-dividend date, then those shares will still receive dividends. Okay, so let's now take a look at the chart of the first stock in our list. So we have FINMA Energy, or FEN, PHEN. FEN closed today at 1.43, support is at 1.28, resistance is at 1.50. Today's green candlestick was supported with volume that's above its 10-day volume average. And let me just check as well. Let's check these moving averages. Okay, so the closing price of FEN is moving above the 10 simple moving average, 10-day simple moving average, and the shorter term moving averages are also above the longer term one. So this is, I would say, a perfect alignment if we're looking for one, a perfect bullish alignment of the moving averages. Now, if this strong volume will continue to register above the 10-day volume average as the price continues to register a green candlestick, then we might see the price hitting the resistance at 1.50 this week. But that's a conditional clause. We have to see support coming from the volume. It's not enough that we see green candlesticks every day, because if those are just green candlesticks and volume is relatively low, let's say below the 10-day volume average, then we cannot get much confidence to say that the ascent in price is sustainable. Meanwhile, MACD remains bullish, and FEN has a volatility score of 31%, leading to a low risk level. Meanwhile, for the foreign investors transactions, it's actually a net foreign selling for 2019 year to date for FEN. Let's take a look at today's net foreign trade. It registered a 5 million pesos worth of net foreign selling today. Let me just remind you that FEN closed at 1.43. That is its intraday high. So the price, or the range that got the biggest volume and the highest number of trades, is registered between 1.39 all the way to 1.43. My overall sentiment on FEN is bullish, mainly supported by the towering volume in support to the green candlesticks for the past 2 trading days. If you already have FEN, it's either you just sell once your trailing stop loss has been hit, or you sell near the resistance at 1.50. Make sure that you lock in some gains near that resistance area, because historically speaking, it wasn't broken. The attempt to break out at 1.50 was unsuccessful last January 9, or in the second week of January 2019. Okay, if you don't have FEN, my suggestion is that you wait for a pullback, or if the ascendant price continues at 1.50, you may consider doing a test buy if the breakout at 1.50 is supported with a volume that's above the 10-day volume average. So that's it for FEN. Let's move on to ZHI. Okay, ZHI or Zeus Holdings Incorporated closed today at 0.405. Support is at 0.316. Resistance is at 0.4008. So today's closing price is at the brink of breaking out above the resistance. When that happens, it will make 0.46 or 0.47 as the next resistance. Today's green candlestick was supported with a green volume that's above the 10-day volume average. Today's closing price is moving above the 10-day simple moving average. I'd like to mention as well that the alignment of the shorter term moving averages, they are moving above the longer term ones. And again, just like the previous stock, ZHI's moving averages are positioned, they are organized in a perfect bullish position. Okay. In addition to that, MACD also remains in a bullish direction. It continues to rise above the signal line, and it's already above the zero line as well. Moreover, ZHI has a high risk level because of its historical volatility score of 92%. Okay. Today's net foreign trade is a small amount of 544 million pesos worth of net foreign buying. Let me just remind you that ZHI closed today at 0.405. The range that got the biggest volume and the highest number of trades is pegged between 0.4 all the way to 0.41. My overall sentiment for ZHI is bullish, with a piece of advice to lock in some profits near this resistance. So near 0.408. Okay, lock in some profits. Okay, if you think that if you remain bullish because of this volume above the 10-day volume average supporting the green candlestick, then lock in some profits, maybe if not all, maybe a few tranches, or just sell when your trailing stop loss is hit. So that's my advice for ZHI, for those who already have the stock. For those who don't have it, wait for a breakout. If the breakout continues with volume, then consider doing a test buy. Remember, do not buy at any price. You reevaluate. You do a price volume distribution analysis just like what I did. Identify the range that got the biggest volume and the highest number of trades, and that's where you wait. Okay? That's where you wait. That's where you trade. Where you park your trade. Now let's move on to LR. Okay, so Leisure and Resorts World Corporation closed today at 3.75. Resistance is at 3.79. Support is at 3.18. So if you are planning to enter a new trade on LR tomorrow, and you would like to calculate your reward to risk ratio with respect to the support and resistance levels that I've mentioned, know that you have not so attractive. In other words, you're going to have more potential risk than potential reward as far as these support and resistance levels are concerned. And of course, with respect to the current position of the closing price or the last price of LR. Okay, again, support is at 3.18, resistance is at 3.79. Today's green candlestick was supported with towering volume, definitely above its 10-day volume average. But remember, I had to zoom the chart in just to see the position of the volume in relation to the 10-day volume average shadow. 10-day volume average's shadow. The green candlestick, while it's above the 10-day simple moving average, realize that the 200-day simple moving average is also above the two shorter term moving averages. So this is not the perfect bullish alignment that I was referring to for the previous stocks. Okay, this is a different thing. MACD remains bullish. Of course, that's what you would expect after a breakout above the 10-day simple moving average. I'd like to note as well that although I don't frequently mention RSI, understand that RSI already hit the 80% level. So there's a possibility for some profit taking to become the dominant sentiment once it touches 3.79 or 3.8. Actually, that already happened today. It already crossed 3.79 and it didn't materialize to go above that level, partly because profit taking was profit taking took place near 3.79 or 3.80. LR has a low risk level with a volatility score of 43%. Today's net foreign trade cost 341,000 worth of net foreign buying. Let me just remind you of the closing price of LR, which is 3.75. The range that got the biggest volume and the highest number of trades was registered between 3.75 all the way to 3.80. My overall sentiment on LR remains neutral to bullish with bias on profit taking near 3.80. Historically speaking, there were several attempts to break out above 3.80 since December, and those attempts were unsuccessful. So history might repeat itself. Better safe than sorry. Make sure that you do some profit taking near 3.80 if you already have LR. If you don't have LR, wait for a pullback near 3.18. Just in case the ascendant price continues, make sure that you will only entertain the idea of buy on breakout strategy if the breakout happens with volume above the 10-day volume average. So that's it for LR. Let's move on to SOC. SOC Resources Incorporated, or SOC, did a ceiling play today as it closed at 1.12. Resistance is at the previous resistance was at 1.11. The previous support was at 0.71. You might be wondering what triggered the ceiling play on SOC. I just checked here and it's because of this disclosure. I don't normally cite disclosures because when it comes to technical analysis, I don't need to read some news or disclosures. But for those who are intrigued about this, it was the catalyst today was this disclosure. The Puyat Reyes Group expects sales of 8 billion pesos from the 3 projects of SOC, the stock SOC. Okay, so that was the catalyst for today's ceiling play. Ask yourself, is that catalyst strong enough to really place the price above 1.11 or 1.12? If I were you, if you have SOC, I would do some profit taking near 1.10 or 1.12. Okay, and then I would wait for some pullback near 0.8, between 0.7 to 0.8, because for me its ascent in price today is not organic or natural, and that distorts the normality, if there's such a word, of our other indicators such as MACD and the historical volatility. Take a look at the historical volatility from just having a low risk level with a volatility score of 42%, or 35% rather, it shoot up to 233% volatility score, and that's a super duper extreme risk level for SOC just because of the ceiling play. So for highly volatile stocks like this, these are not newbie friendly. Okay, so newbie investors or newbie traders, stay away from highly volatile stocks like this. So settle with low risk stocks for now, low to moderate risk stocks. So for what it's worth, the closing price is 1.12. Let's take a look at the range to get the biggest volume and the highest number of trades. So I am seeing 1.0 all the way to 1.07. 1.0 to 1.07, that's the range that got the biggest volume and the highest number of trades today. My overall sentiment, you sell on rally. It's either you sell on the resistance or you sell even if it goes beyond 1.12, you lock in some profits. Okay, so that's my overall sentiment, and I don't encourage buying near 1.12 anymore. Okay, it's a sell on rally. Okay, wait for a pullback between 0.70 to 0.8. Now let's move on to LRW. Leisure and Resorts World Corporation, this is a warrant stack, okay? Warrant stack. It closed today at 2.07, support is at 1.81, resistance is at 2.25. Today's ascent in price was supported with volume just like its brother LR. Today's volume is above the 10-day volume average. MACD remains above the signal line. And it has a moderate or a high risk level because of its 73% historical volatility score. While it's moving above the 10-day simple moving average, I'd like to remind you that the alignment of the moving averages is not what we want to see if we are expecting a perfect bullish alignment. For one, the longer term moving averages are all above the shorter term ones. I think this would only start to normalize once the price breaks out above 2.25 or 2.80. Yeah, 2.80, not 2.25. So that's a lot of work to do for LRW and for LR as well. Now let's take a look at the range that got the biggest volume and the highest number of trades. Before that, reminder, it closed today at 2.07, and that is closer to the intraday high than to the intraday low. Now the range that got the biggest volume, the highest number of trades, is positioned between 2.05 all the way to 2.10. 2.05 to 2.10. My overall sentiment on LRW is bullish, but I would advise that you consider locking in some profits. Sell near 2.25 or whenever your trailing stop loss is hit. Then you wait for a pullback near 1.8 again. That's it for LRW. Now let's move on to the top 5 losers for today, beginning with SM. SM closed today at 934 pesos per share. Resistance is at 1,015. Support is at 925.50. The price is already broke below the 10-day simple moving average. However, it's still moving above the 200-day simple moving average. And the position of the 200-day SMA is in confluence with the support level at 925.50. If it breaks down below 925.50, expect the price to retest the support at 848 pesos per share. Today's red candlestick came with a volume that's a little bit below the 10-day moving average. No, not 10-day moving average, but 10-day volume average. And MACD, while it's still moving above the signal line, it has already bent towards the bottom, and it seems to be forming a bearish convergence with the signal line. But I think this will become clearer if it's really a bearish convergence or just an artificial one or a fake one, so to say, if and when the price breaks down below 925.50. Meanwhile, SM still has a low risk level because of its historical volatility score of 33%. Now let's take a look at the net foreign buying or net foreign selling today. It's worth 47 million pesos worth of net foreign selling. That's a lot, and it's expected for SM. Let's take a look at the year-to-date net foreign trade. It's net foreign selling for SM for 2019 year-to-date. Let's just have a recap. It closed today at 934 pesos per share, and that is closer to the intraday low than to the intraday high. Therefore, the range that got the biggest volume and the highest number of trades is also positioned near the intraday low, and it's exactly between 931.5 to 935. My overall sentiment on SM is bearish. Keep on observing if it will break down below 925.50. It might rebound at that level, or it will continue its downtrend direction. If it breaks down below 925.50 with volume above the 10-day volume average, then set your waiting area near 848 pesos per share. However, if it just touches the 925.50 support level with a relatively slim volume, then you may want to consider that as a sign of reversal. My recommendation for those who don't have SM yet, yep, that's it. You monitor near 925.50. Now, if you already have SM, no better advice than to respect your trailing stop loss. Okay? Make sure that you respect your trailing stop loss. Now let's move on to JGS. GG Summit Holdings Incorporated, or JGS, closed today at 61.65. The resistance is at 69.5. Support is at 60.70. This closing price is closer to the support level than to the resistance area. Note that today's closing price is already moving below the 50 and of course below the 10-day simple moving averages, but above the 200-day moving averages. Today's red candlestick was not supported with a towering volume. For me, that means JGS investors or traders were not really convinced. There's something, uh, there's a strong demand, or there's a compelling reason to sell JGS. They saw a compelling reason, and we should be seeing volume that's above its 10-day volume average, but we're not seeing that. Meanwhile, MACD remains in a bearish direction as it moves in a bearish divergence with the signal line. JGS has a moderate risk level because of its 60% historical volatility score. For 2019 year to date, JGS is on a net foreign buying mode. Okay, so for today, 5 million pesos worth of net foreign buying was registered on JGS. Let me just remind you, it closed today at 61.65, and that is roughly, well, it's actually closer to the intraday low than to the intraday high. And the range that got the biggest volume and the highest number of trades is registered between 61.25 all the way to 61.65. My overall sentiment on JGS is bearish. Observe, wait for signs of reversal near 60.70. If SORs or signs of reversals are absent near that support level, then adjust your waiting. Have more patience and wait near 51 pesos. It might take a while to reach that next support level, but that's it. However, once it touches 60.70 and volume is still relatively slim, then that could be a sign that traders are eavesdropping with each other if 60.60 is already a rebounding zone for JGS. Then you may want to consider doing a test buy when that happens. Test buy where? Near 60.70, the support area. So there you go for JGS. Now let's move on to LTG. LTG closed today at 16.50. The support is at 16 pesos per share. Resistance is at 17.4. This closing price is already below the 10-day simple moving average. The alignment of the moving averages is in a chaotic, unorganized position. MACD remains bullish, but it's already forming a bearish convergence with the signal line. By the way, today's red candlestick came with volume that's below the 10-day volume average of LTG. There's a possibility for the price to rebound from 16.4 or 16.42, being that's the intersection between the 200-day and the 10-day simple moving averages. LTG has a moderate risk level because of its historical volatility score of 52%. The 2019 year-to-date net foreign trade or net foreign sentiment is net foreign selling, bearish. Okay, now let's take a look at today's net foreign trade is 22 million pesos worth of net foreign selling. Again, LTG closed today at 16.5. That's closer to the intraday low than the intraday high. And the range that got the biggest volume and the highest number of trades is between 16.72 all the way to 16.74. I'd like to emphasize that 16.50, a standalone price point, got 19% of today's volume with 55 trades. So I'd like to mention two pit stops here. One is a standalone price point, which is 16.5, and one is a range, which is 16.72 to 16.74. My overall sentiment on LTG is bearish. My suggestion is that you wait near 16 pesos per share, and yep, wait at 16 pesos per share. And then if you have LTG and if you sold near 17.4 when it hit that level last week, then good. That was a good profit taking level because there were some attempts to break out from 17.5 last December 2018, and that attempt was unsuccessful. So it was good to consider selling at 17.40, between 17.50 or between 17.40 to 17.50, and then you buy on pullbacks at preferably at 14.70. But before that, the precursor is a breakdown below 16. So monitor first the 16 pesos level or area. Okay, that's it for LTG. Now let's move on to PHA. PHA closed today at 1.08. It's at the brink of breaking down below their support at 1.07. Meanwhile, resistance is at 1.72. And today's red candlestick was supported with the volume that's a little bit shy below the 10-day volume average of PHA. MACD has been a bearish direction since the third week or the second week of February 2019. So, yep, not an interesting stock to trade, especially that my 10 SMA and MACD combo um, does not emit a buy signal for me. Anyway, PHA has a high risk level because of its historical volatility score of 94%. Its 2019 year-to-date net foreign trade sentiment is net foreign selling, bearish. Today, foreign investors registered 923,000 pesos worth of net foreign buying on PHA. Insignificant amount. Today's closing price of 1.08 is closer to the intraday low than to the intraday high. The range that got the biggest volume and the highest number of trades is printed between 1.08 all the way to 1.13. Actually, you can include 1.07. So let's make that 1.07 all the way to 1.13. My overall sentiment on PHA is bearish. There's a possibility for the price either to rebound from 1.07 or it will continue its downtrend direction and test the historical support near 0.85 for a possible rebound. So to speak, or my suggestion is to monitor the price between 0.85 to 1.07. I have a bearish overall sentiment on PHA. So last stock but not the least, we have FGEN. So FGEN Corporation closed today at 20.90. Resistance is at 22.5. Support is at 19.5. Today's red candlestick is already at the brink of breaking down below the 50 SMA, meaning to say when that happens, FGEN is not only bearish in the short term but also in the medium term. Nonetheless, FGEN is still moving above the 200-day moving averages or moving average. Today's red candlestick came with a volume that's 50% of its 10-day volume average. So there's a possibility indeed for FGEN to perhaps it might want to test if it could rebound near 20.5. This line. Let me plot that for you. Somewhere here, 20.5. 20.5, okay? But if it breaks down below 20.50, then adjust your monitor the price near 19.5, the major or the immediate support area. FGEN still has a moderate risk level because of its historical volatility score of 51%. MACD already crossed below the signal line. That's a death cross, and that's not the kind of cross you would want to see if you're looking or searching for a buy signal. All indicators are now pointing to the southward direction. Meanwhile, foreign investors have I think it's still a net foreign buying. That's my estimate. But it's almost close to being a net foreign selling for 2019 year to date. Now, For today, the foreign investors registered 25 million pesos worth of net foreign selling. Let me just remind you as well that the closing price of FGEN's 20.90 is not just the closing price but also the intraday low, and this one got 57% of today's volume with 76 trades. Therefore, the range that got the biggest volume and the highest number of trades is between 20.90 all the way to 21 pesos per share. 20.90 to 21. My overall sentiment on FGEN is bearish, but monitor 20.55 like what I mentioned a while back. But if it breaks down below 20.55, especially if it came with volume that's above the 10-day volume average, then there is a data-driven reason to monitor near 19.5. Okay. All right. So that's it for FGEN. So there you go. You've heard my analysis for these 10 stocks for Monday, March 25, 2019. I do hope I was able to help you trade independently through this daily video analysis of the top 5 gainers and top 5 losers. My name is JC De Guzman, and have a great day.